Now then, welcome back to another episode on the Utopia server, playing around with fusion reactors. We have had a few changes. We've had to do a bit here and a bit there to change things around. Quite considerably, considering the nukes blew up and sort of set us back a fair bit. But now we've got 4 set up, where once we had 3, and we've got a little timer to prevent them from overheating ever again and blowing up. I will explain this little timer in brief detail. There is a latch connected to this nuclear reactor, and it's either on or off. Simple. It's a T flip-flop style thing, a latch. On or off, and this one is set to the opposite of that one. So while that one's got the redstone signal facing away from the nuclear reactor, this one over here has got the signal facing towards the nuclear reactor, which means this nuclear reactor is on while that nuclear reactor is off and cooling down. And then the wires lead from the opposite side to do the opposites on the other corners. So this timer in the middle is set to 2 minutes or 120-second intervals to flip the switches. So there's always 2 reactors on for 2 minutes at a time, and then they swap over due to those latches to turn them off and have a 2-minute cooldown, which we reckon is about as stable as we're going to make it.
Yeah, it should be fine.
We do also have this special all-out on-off switch at the back here to turn the timer off in case we want to just stop everything. We can then manually...
the most high-tech blocks in the game.
Yeah, a standard redstone repeater going through a block into the timer because of this AE wire here. But aside from that, we managed to rebuild everything, and potentially we've made it slightly better than before. But not by much. We've pretty much followed what our original design was, and we wanted to show you guys what the pitfall was of setting up the nuclear reactor in the way that we did in the last episode. It was nuclear reactors or fusion reactor for noobs, after all, by noobs. So why don't you explain what went wrong with the nuclear reactor to make it blow the whole place up 30 minutes after we finished recording?
Well, what went wrong was Greg.
It's all Greg's fault. There we go. Problem solved.
Yeah, he's changed the nuclear reactors in the most recent update, which means that they overheat. This pattern used to sustain it indefinitely with as many fuel quad uranium cells in it as you can get in it as quick as possible. And now it doesn't. Now it will actually overheat. And as far as I'm aware, there isn't a better pattern that will sustain the temperature. We also had, in this reactor over here, a single piece of component that was slightly different.
And that was a big flaw, really, wasn't it? If it hadn't have been for that blowing up within 30 minutes of us finishing the episode, they all would have blown up anyway.
Yeah, probably.
Overheating of some kind, yeah. So we're fairly glad that we've managed to reset the server to a backup to the day before we constructed it, and we spent quite some time reconstructing it in almost exact detail. But now we're going to change some things around, aren't we? And get things set up. These electrolizers over here, really they should have a full 128 EU per tick fed directly into them to make them the maximum speed possible. So the plan that we've got is Doodart's going to set up MFEs onto all of these electrolizers, so that each electrolyzer has access to one MFE. As you can see now, if they render for me, they're facing the wrong way.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. So he'll switch them all around with his wrench, and they'll be facing down into the electrolyzers. They're actually all connected, so all MFEs will connect to all electrolyzers still. But
is that the best way to do it? That makes sense, doesn't it?
that makes sense. And then we'll have one MFSU feeding those 4 MFEs from the main power supply, as the MFSU gets quartered down into 128s per tick into the MFE. So we've made a load of MFEs and a load of MFSUs, and Doodart's going to start setting all them up now, while I rig up the inputs and outputs for all of the cells that are going to go in for the process. We've got to feed cells into the electrolyzer, and we've also got to take out all of the items that are in the electrolyzer. So the only way I've found of doing that without massive amounts of AE cables was to connect the whole lot up into one big system for a router to read, which I did over on the other side. At least I started to on the other side. And now I've just hooked these first few up, so every single barrel is connected to every single electrolyzer, which means that they are technically one system that the routers can read. I'm going to do the same over this side as well, so that both sets have the same layout. And in this corner over here, I'm going to set up a mini AE system with the routers to extract, import and output and all of that stuff as it needs to. So I think we should just get on with it then. We'll be back in a little while when we've set up these basics, and I'll quickly go through how I set up this AE system with the routers in this corner, and we shall continue from there. Catch you in a bit. Alright then, we are completing this stage and we're moving on to the next bit. Yeah? Hey Doodart, hey. Can't quite hit you from over here. Right, so what we've done, Doodart has moved all of this lot around. Do you want to quickly explain what's happening with the power supply at the minute?
Well, we've dedicated one MFU to each electrolyzer. So that's why they're banked across the top like that. And then there's a transformer here, an MV transformer, which gets the power from the MFSUs once we hook it up. You want to hook it up now?
Yeah, we probably can. Yeah, we're not sure whether 2's going to be enough, whether we need to put 1 for each bank. But we're going to test it out this way and see what happens. See if the processing works still. So these MFSUs should, in theory, carry on going up.
Yeah, looks like they are.
Yeah. Which means the nuclear reactors are powering enough to power all of these machines currently.
Hooray.
And if the MFEs are also filling, then we're in business. Yeah, they're not really very full at the minute, are they? But over time, it should all catch up. If the MFSUs are going to keep up, then the rest of it should catch up eventually. Yeah?
We can keep an eye on it, can't we?
Yeah.
And what are these beautiful things we've got over here?
Beautiful things? You mean the tanks?
Yeah.
Well, that's all for the next stage, isn't it? We've constructed 2 simple tanks. We haven't put valves on yet because we haven't decided exactly where the valves are going to go. But we've got 1 for deuterium and 1 for tritium, something like that. Tritium, something like that. We'll look into that a bit later on when we actually connect it up. But they're the 2 liquids that we're making for the fusion reactor to have its reaction.
Yeah, they're fuel, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the fuel. So all of this is building up to fill these tanks of fuel. So we put the fuel tanks on this level so that the next level can be fully centrifuges pumping stuff into them from the top. And from the bottom, we'll bring out liquiducts and send it up to the fusion reactor. And the corner of the fusion reactor will probably be here somewhere. So this will be the corner that gets the power from the two liquids, or gets the liquids to start the reaction. Yeah. In theory, we've got it so we're laying it out as we go, and hopefully there's not too much we need to change when we've got it all in place. We've already changed all these electrolyzers around, what, twice now to get different layouts to try and optimize our layout. And we may have to put a few more MV transformers in here to maximize the potential at some point. Well, we're just going to see if it runs without for now. Over here, all the barrels have now been connected to the electrolyzers. So if you check on an electrolyzer, you'll see that they're all full of water because we've got the water supply sorted for them. They're currently not receiving enough power to activate and actually run the recipe, unfortunately. We've got to wait for a lot more power to be flowing through. There's no way of disconnecting them either, really, is there? At the minute, because I think they're not receiving enough power and they're using the power before it's ready, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So we may need to disconnect them from the MFEs, so the MFEs have a chance to charge fully, so the MFEs can then power these at a constant 128 per tick. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to remove some cabling while I go through the AE system over here?
I'll give it a go, yeah.
The electrolyzers have slots in them. And we have a slot 1, a slot 2, a slot 3, a slot 4, and a slot 5. Now, slot 1 is where the empty cells go. Slot 2 is where the water comes out that we need, the hydrogen cells comes out that we need. And slot 3, we get another product that we don't need, which is going into one of these centrifuges up here, which is compressed air cells. Now, the compressed air cells are going to need to be processed to make them empty cells again, which is why I've got this little rig up above my head. But let's go through the process over here. So, bearing in mind that there's those slots in each of the electrolyzers, these routers are connected via barrels so that they're... The barrels are all connected to all the electrolyzers, and the barrels are connected to these three routers here. These three routers are set up so that one of them is inserting into slot 1, and the other two are extracting from slot 2 and extracting from slot 3. So the AE system has got an export bus here into the one that's inserted into slot 1, the empty cells. So empty cells come into this router and then get filled into all of the machines into the slot 1 where the empty cells need to go. Then the other two routers are pulling out from slot 2 and 3 the product that we actually want to process. And then I've got two import buses behind those importing everything that the extractor may bring out. And then we go into the AE chest, and we've got the hydrogen cells and everything going into there as required, just for storage space. From there, we'll go up and into all of the centrifuges. That's the plan. The compressed air has to be processed, so we've got 4 extractors along here. And these 4 extractors are set up so that they export compressed air from the AE system into them and then import the empty cells back into the chest, where they can be redone into the electrolyzers. When we get into the next part of the level, all of the cells that get emptied out into the tanks will also go through those same extractor process to empty the cells back out and put them back through the system again as required. Which is all good. We're going to need a hell of a lot more cells though, but we've got plenty of tin kicking around in the AE systems around the base. So we should be able to make a load of new empty cells to start stocking all these up and have some sort of excess stock as well. So yeah, that's about it. We're now waiting for these nukes to process enough to fill the MFSUs, to fill the MFEs, and then we can reconnect all the electrolizers, and then the processing can begin while we make a load of cans, a load of cells, should I say. And I think we're ready to put a roof on, really. We got the marble blocks that we're going to use.
Yeah, I've got a barrel pretty much full over in my...
Over at your base, okay?
Yeah.
So we're going to put them at the top edge of the tanks. So just covering the top of all of this level on the top of the machines, but leaving the AE system exposed so it can pump onto the next level. And that way, we should be all good. Oh yeah, the power is also powering the AE system. The nukes are also powering the AE system. And this is its own separate little AE system that's going to deal with all these cells. Do you want to chuck us some blocks and we'll get started? We'll make another little cut while we get all this done, and we'll wait for the MFSUs and all that to fill up. We've put a load more quad cells into the nukes, so we should now be able just to hang about a bit and let all of that fill up nicely before moving on to the next stage. We should also think about some special lighting as well while we're doing it. While we're waiting for the MFSUs, we should look for some lighting solutions.
You mean torches aren't good enough for you, Nemsun?
Torches just don't do it for me, no. So we'll think of some sort of lighting that can be in this marble to light the ceiling of one and the floor of the other.
Have you still got a load of white lamps left over from your...
No, but they're easy enough to make, so we could probably make some white lamps and that would look okay, wouldn't it?
Yeah, or we can go for some kind of coloured theme. Don't know.
Yeah, could do green or red or something. Nuclear green. I don't know. We'll think about it.
You've bulked it up already. Covered up the hole.
We can break that. That's fine. Yeah, so that's it for now. We will be back soon with the next part of the second part of the fusion reactor for noobs.
Bye, noobs.
Bye, noobs, for noobs. And a thunderstorm outside marks that we've been here through several cycles of the rain. Check it out, though. It's looking like a proper factory, isn't it?
Yeah, it's full of gubbins and cables.
Gubbins and cables and sexy bits of machinery. Oh, and we have crafted more bits and pieces, added it all in. We think we've optimized now. The MFSUs and the like, they're all set and full. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18. And each one's 10 million EU. Yeah?
180 million. Math.
Hey, maths! 180 million EU is stored in just this level on the MFEs. Then, the MFSUs. Then you've got the MFEs running at 60 each. 60, 60 each. 600,000 EU each. So that's 500,000 each, virtually. And there's a ton of those all full as well. And those nuclear reactors have only gone through a couple of cycles.
Yeah.
That was a lot of output from those. But it does take quite some time, not really that long when you think about it, less than an hour, to pump out all of this and fill it all up, it seemed. There was some lurking around from earlier boxes and the like, but mostly it's all filled up fairly swiftly from the nukes having a fresh cell in. And also, we've done a bit more upstairs in the next level, setting things up ready for part 3 of this fusion reactor for noobs by noobs. Doodart's just set up all these bat boxes and very carefully placed them all so nothing explodes. So we're converting the power that comes up. There's 10 million EU plus, well, 40. I'm doing the maths again. There's 80 million EU coming up through into this floor. I think that's right.
40, I would have thought, but
40. It's a 10 million EU in each box, isn't it?
Yeah, but because they're chained together, you're not actually getting the power from the one below it coming through. That's just chaining into the next one.
It's just there ready to come in.
Yeah, it's just storing a bit of extra backup.
Okay. Alright, fine. Whatever. Clever.
Right. Aren't they pretty? They look a bit like waffles or something.
I can only just about hear because of this stupid thunderstorm. Let me turn my game sounds down a bit.
Turn down the thunderstorm.
I've got to turn down the rain.
Yeah.
So I can hear the dude. Yeah, what was it you were saying? These tanks?
These bat boxes, they look like lovely blocks, don't they? Kind of like burnt waffles.
Burnt waffles, yeah. I think I said something earlier, didn't I, about there being several ages in Minecraft. The Wooden Age, the Stone Age, the Iron Age, the Gold Age, or, well, yeah, Gold Age, I guess, and then the Diamond Age, as opposed to Iron Age, Bronze Age, and all that. Well, the bat boxes are right out of the Wooden Age, aren't they? They're like the first thing you build in Minecraft to store EUs.
Yeah, well, they are low voltage. They are your lowest tier, but that's what the centrifuges need, and so that's what the centrifuges get.
Yeah, but they could do a higher tech version of a low voltage bat box, like a silver upgrade or something, just to wrap iron around it and make it an iron bat box. Does exactly the same thing as a bat box, but it's iron bat box.
Just change your texture back if you don't like it.
Just change the textures of it. It's all right in certain situations, but yeah, it spoils our lovely, lovely factory view. But anyway, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. We can see everything is plugged in and plumbed in. All of the centrifuges are going to have their own bat box for every 4 centrifuges, or was it 6? Every 6 centrifuges is having one bat box, and these haven't been connected over here, did I?
Oops.
Each one of the centrifuges is going to be using 5 per tick, and each bat box dishes out 32 per tick. So Doodart carefully calculated on all his fingers and thumbs and toes that we needed 6 centrifuges per bat box, and so we have all of these bat boxes arranged like this to hopefully reduce the amount of cable lengths the power has to travel to get to the nearest centrifuge and keep it topped up, in theory. And then
so people might be a little bit confused because they can't actually see the centrifuges.
Shall we go up and show them a sneak peek at part 3?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sneak peek at part 3.
I think it looks awesome.
We couldn't figure out how to place them on the level below without needing to take up a ton of space and making them look a bit ugly. So I don't know how we came up with the idea. It just sort of materialized late one night after the last episode, where we were placing the blocks down, and we sort of made some sort of arrangement, a pattern, a symmetrical, sort of non-symmetrical, because it's got this little 3 in the gap here on each side, but each side's the same, so there's no symmetry. I don't know what the word is for it. It's a repeated pattern, but it's not a symmetrical pattern. Who knows? Write in the comments below, viewers, if you know what this is called. But it is virtually symmetrical floor layout for centrifuges. Ready for...
At the same time as trying to plan out where the centrifuges were going to go, we were also thinking about what material to make the next floor out of, weren't we?
Yeah.
And so the 2 ideas kind of solved themselves.
Yeah, because we made the floor out of centrifuges. It looks fairly cool. I like it. I think it's fairly high-tech. This is where we're going to build the fusion reactor in the final part of this build. And I think it'll look pretty cool with the centrifuges as the floor and the big pink blocks above. Yeah, pink blocks. Why did he choose pink? Another texture problem. Never mind. We'll live with it. As long as it outputs so much power that we won't know what to do with it all.
Unlimited power, you might say.
Unlimited power. £1 million. Anyway, I think that's it for this episode, Doodart. We shall prep up for next episode and see you in part 3.
Wrenched
me, thanks. Bye.